Hello. Welcome to Manchester University's Financial Aid live video here. We're going to be having some opportunities for our viewers to ask questions. So if you're following along live with us, if you're coming from YouTube, you'll just need to click Be a Part of the Conversation. That's down the lower left, and you'll be able to submit your questions, and we'll take those throughout. And then if you're joining us from Google+, it's very easy. You just use your Q&A button, and you'll be able to submit questions that way. My name is Will Patch. I am going to be help moderate this, but just wanted to introduce the other people here with our conversation. So I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Brandy Chauncey. I'm Associate Director for Recruitment here at Manchester, and we'll hopefully be able to provide you some good financial aid information.
I'm Sherry Shockey, Director of Student Financial Services.
And my name is Kyle Grubbs. I'm an Assistant Director for Admissions here at Manchester.
Great, thank you. Also, Brandy works with transfer students, so if you're a transfer student joining us, she'll be your go-to person. The first thing I wanted to do is kind of show you where you can get to our system called Gateway. That's where you can actually view your financial aid package, and then later on there'll be more steps you take there as well. And I wanted to show you where you can get to the Student Financial Services website where you can see some of the forms that we'll talk about. So let me do a screen share with you here. Okay, so from the Manchester University homepage, if you come up to Quick Links, you can come right down to Gateway. I won't go into mine because you'll see something very different than what you would see as a student. But if you click on Gateway, you can sign in using your student ID and then your username. Sorry there. Your username as well as your password. That information was sent both with your financial aid package and in some emails from our admissions counselors. If you want to get student financial services, it's right here in the quick links as well. And from there, you can see our Student Account Center. I'll let Sherry talk about that a little later. If you want to see your financial aid award notification, this will take you to Gateway to see that as well. If you want to get to any of our forms for student financial services, on the left we have that link. There's information here. I'll let Sherry may mention some of these forms. We don't necessarily need to go over these at this point. I don't want everyone to be clicking through and getting confused this early. I just want to know where you can find these forms in the future. If you've been selected for verification, that'll show up on your financial aid award notification. You can get to the forms clicking the link here at the bottom, and we have information for the different types of verification. If you want more information, please definitely get in touch with your admissions counselor. They are very happy to help walk you through that. Student Financial Services can answer the more specific questions, but we're here to kind of be that front line and help you every way we can. Okay, let's kick off with our first question here. Just in general, when people talk about work study, what is work study and how might that be different than just a campus job? Oh, Brandy appears to have muted her mic here, so
Hello? Am I there now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, so work study money, what that is students can get a job on campus, and the funds to pay them is something that is supported by the government. So it's money that is provided to Manchester, and then we pay the students for their time. The key thing to know about work study, if it's through Manchester or through a different college or university, you have to work those hours to get that money. And there is a benefit with the work study when you file your FAFSA for the following year. Actually, I don't know if that is coming prior.
Yes, we'll
continue. So when you file your FAFSA, that money that you get from federal work study is not necessarily money that would affect your EFC or contribute towards your income. It is on there, it's reported, but it's not necessarily reviewed or viewed as disposable income because it's already come through the federal work study program. And the other thing I would add is not every job on campus is federal work study eligible. And that's something you have to check with each campus. Here at Manchester, all of our jobs are federal work study eligible, and there's only one job on campus that I know of that is specific to having to be federal work study eligible to have that job. Hopefully that wasn't confusing.
Thanks. One question there. You mentioned something I wanted to touch on. You said EFC. Sherry, you may be the best to answer this, but what is EFC?
This is Sherry, and the EFC is the expected family contribution. So when you file your FAFSA application, it's going to calculate a number, and that number is considered the EFC. So that's all done at the federal level, and then it's dispersed out to the different agencies and schools that will be working with your funding. So for example, it will go to the state of Indiana if you're an Indiana resident. It will also go to Manchester or any other school that you list. So that number is a constant number once it's been determined at the federal level.
Thanks. I know there's always some confusion over what that is, if it's a dollar amount, if it's a number, so it was good to have that answered. On our financial aid packages, how can we tell what state and federal aid is on there?
Sure. Our financial aid breaks it down really easily. It's going to say federal Pell Grant, or it's going to say Indiana. And if you do have any questions about that, your admissions counselor is going to hopefully walk you through the admissions or the financial aid package to explain all of that to you. That way, if you do have any questions, something looks confusing, we are here to help.
Thanks, Kyle. So what would be some examples of what would be state aid versus what might be federal aid? What are some of those programs? Oh, Randy and Sherry are muted here.
Okay. We're having fun with the mute button here.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at your award notification, those things that are federal funded will say federal in front of them. So a federal Pell Grant or Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, or FSEOG. So those are the two types of federal gift aid that you will see. You will also see information on your award notification for federal student loan programs. So again, it will say federal in front of it. If they are state grants, as an Indiana school, we are only receiving Indiana state grant funds. So you'll see Indiana Franco-Bannon or Indiana 21st Century. You might also see Indiana Academic Honors Diploma or Indiana Associate Grant. That could potentially be on your award notification depending on your specific qualifications for those awards.
Oh. Could you also talk about what makes someone eligible for those? I know everyone wants the money, right? But what makes one person eligible and maybe another not?
Well, I'll take that one again. So everything from the federal level and also the state level are based on that EFC number, so the expected family contribution number. That number gets plugged into different formulas by those agencies, and then that is reported back to the institution that says, here's the dollar amount that they're eligible based on that federal number that was calculated. So it's like your times tables when you were in elementary school. If it's 7 times 7 and there's an answer, then that's the number that you're eligible for. So it's plotted on a graph. Does that help?
Yeah, that's a great answer. Plus, I like graphs personally, so that works out well. What are some ways you can actually increase your Manchester Scholarship? So the Manchester Scholarship will be your presidential scholarship, your faculty scholarship, things like that. But what are some ways we can actually increase that amount?
One of the things that I would encourage students to do if they want to see if there's potential for that increase is to talk with their admissions counselor, and then we can walk them through like what is the potential to increase. Normally and most likely the thing to do is present us with any updated information, if it's an updated transcript, updated ACT or SAT scores, anything that's going to strengthen your file. And usually that's something specific to your high school transcript. Additional references, normally that will not affect your scholarship, but anything that would increase your academic rank or your ability that we would see in the classroom. With that, sometimes when we talk with you as a student, and it could be something very minimal, it might be a matter of 20 points on a test, or it could be something that's pretty large, but we will talk with you individually and counsel you on like what is the best option to increase that scholarship.
Thanks. And for the sophomores and juniors that might be listening, thinking about prior, where they'd be actually filing in the fall, or have that opportunity to, what are some other scholarships that Manchester offers in addition to the academic aid?
Is that for me? Okay.
Oh, we can let anyone answer.
The other things that we offer are things that are specific to the applicant. So if you're a Church of the Brethren member, if you have a connection with Manchester as far as being related to someone who has attended Manchester, and as somebody who's attended Manchester, it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody who graduated from Manchester. I think that's important to know. Some of the other things is if you're a music student and you are intending on participating in music when you're here at Manchester, you don't have to major or minor in it, but you can audition to get scholarship money, and then you just have to be a part of one of our ensembles or groups on campus, and that's for both vocal and instrumental. The other money, I think those are kind of the basics. If there's something that comes up and we notice that you're eligible for a scholarship, we'll flag you and you'll get notification. We do offer visit incentives usually every year. So that would be something, once we have information on that, we'll get that out to students. But that's a way to, if you just come to campus by a certain date, we'll give you a small extra scholarship to encourage you to attend.
Great, thanks. Ariana has a good question for us as well. Can your Manchester scholarship actually increase after you've already received your financial aid notification?
That's a great question, Ariana. It can. We accept updates to your GPA or test scores through your high school graduation. So that's kind of, May, and at that point you've kind of already probably decided to come to Manchester, and so that's a great time for your scholarship to increase. So keep up the grades. Maybe if you take the test again, make sure we get those test scores. But yeah, we'll update your scholarship through your high school graduation.
Great, and yeah, absolutely. When you graduate, make sure you send your final transcript. We want to see if we can help you out some more. Thanks for the question, Ariana. Next up here, what do we have to do to actually accept the financial aid? So you get your financial aid package. How do we say, yes, I would love this? What do we need to do?
Well, I can take that question. When you get your financial aid award notification, there is nothing that you have to do to actually accept the funds that are there. If you want to decline any funds, there is a decline box, and you would note that, and then there's a section on the right-hand side that you'll sign and date and send that back to us. So it's really easy. If you want everything that's listed, you have to do nothing. If you want to decline something, then you can notify us of that, and then we will select the award, decline it, and send you out a new notification or an updated notification.
Thanks. I do like the simplicity of that. Everyone likes to have to do nothing to get it. So
the thing I will add in there is if students do decide they want to take out loans, there is some promissory note and stuff they will have to complete before those loans will be dispersed. But that will be information we'll get to students once we're to the point and we know that they do want to take out those loans.
Thanks. While we're talking about loans, there's a couple different types. So we have those federal direct loans. Some people, if you're a parent watching this, you might remember the Stafford loans. And then there's PLUS loans. So what's the difference between those?
I'll take that one. All right. The Federal Direct Student Loan Program is exactly what it is. It is for the students. And so on your award notification, you'll see Federal Direct Unsubsidized or Subsidized or a combination of both. And those are the loans that you as a student would have in your name. A Federal Parent Plus loan is also an option included on the award notification, and it will tell you the maximum amount that can be borrowed. But that is where the parent is actually the borrower. So the student is not borrowing those funds. The parent is borrowing under their parent name to help out with those additional expenses that they may have at Manchester.
Thanks. And do you have to have a credit check on both of those, or co-signers, or anything like that?
For the Parent Plus loan, yes, you have to be pre-approved, and there is a credit check that happens at the federal process. And once you're approved, then the parent would complete the master promissory note and notify Manchester that they're interested in the dollar amount that they would like to take. For a student loan, there is no credit check. As a student filing the FAFSA, you are eligible for those loans. There's nothing else that has to be done to qualify for them.
Great, thanks. Now, what if a student does not want to take out loans? How do we decline those? I know you mentioned that a little bit, but what does that all mean?
Brandy,
okay. So if a family is in a position where they don't want to utilize those student loans that are listed on the financial aid notification, it is very important that they do the steps that Sherry had explained earlier. So there's a decline box. They need to check that. They need to sign the notification and send it back. They also need to note if they intend on declining the entire amount or if it's just partial. And that obviously is up to each family and what amount they do need or want to utilize. There are a couple different types. So for student loans, there's the subsidized and unsubsidized loans. So it's subsidized is where the interest does not accrue while the student is in school, and unsubsidized is when there is interest accruing. So that might be a way to decide which loans they want to take out. Again, admissions counselors can give basic information and provide some guidance there. But again, it's just an important thing is to get that award notification back to us with the information of what they want to decline. That way we can correct their financial aid package.
Thanks. And so you're talking about correcting the financial aid package. Let's say we've declined a loan, we've gotten an outside scholarship. Are we going to be sent those updates? Will we keep getting more and more of these in the mail?
No, actually, you're only going to get one financial aid package in the mail, one hard copy. Manchester, we're trying our best to go green, so all the other financial aid packages are going to go on Gateway. And Will showed you at the beginning of this session how to get there. So you'll be able to see all of them there, and they'll be updated once we have information to update with.
And Student Financial Services will send an email to the primary email address that we have on file to let them know that there's a new financial aid package available.
Great, that's very helpful, thanks. We have quite a few viewers right now, so if you weren't here at the very beginning, just wanted to remind you that if you're joining us on Google+, you can go ahead and submit questions just using the Q&A, or if you're joining us from YouTube, if you go to the lower left, you can just click on Be a Part of the Conversation, and that'll let you ask some questions that way. We have another question coming in now. Let's see. So a student's asking, they're 17 when they graduate high school, and they'll be turning 18 during their first year at Manchester. Are they eligible to take out the direct loans in their name since they're not 18?
Actually, yes. A federal student loan is different than like if you were to qualify for a car loan or something like that. So when you're looking at the master promissory note, there are provisions in there that allow you to borrow those funds prior to turning the age of 18.
Hello. Thanks. Thanks for the question there too. Just wanted to kind of point out that difference while we're on it. Some people will want to turn down the federal loans and go to their bank or credit union and apply for a loan that way. How is the process different?
If a family or a student is actually planning on declining their federal loans and maybe looking at a private educational loan, or some people do a loan through maybe their home equity, something like that, you'll want to first consider the benefits of a federal loan, which can include a lower interest rate, but it also comes with deferment options and also forbearance options when you go into repayment that other types of loans may not have. So many times we'll have students come in and want to do a private educational loan because they're getting maybe a lower interest rate up front, but typically those are going to be variable rates that can change from one quarter or even every year for the student. And the federal loan program is a fixed rate for that loan at the point that you take it out. So you want to compare those. But in addition is the forbearance options when you go into repayment that you would be giving up if you lose or move out of that program that are not always available in other types of programs. As an example, a forbearance option is, let's say that something would happen to you and you would become sick and not able to work. You could qualify for a medical deferment, so during that time you would not have to go into repayment on your loans, whereas with a private loan you may not have those options. So just be aware and ask the questions to help make that decision for you that's right for the family.
Thanks. Those are very good points. One thing we always like to point out, we are not financial advisors. We can't tell you what the best situation is for each family. So that's where you need to really look at your options, ask questions, and make sure you know what's going on. So let's say we've gotten our updates, we decide how we're doing all this. How do we tell Manchester we're really excited and we want to accept this, we want to be a Spartan?
Talk to your admissions counselor, because we'll probably want to celebrate with you. We will be so excited that you're deciding to be a Spartan. So call us. We would ask for a $250 enrollment deposit if you haven't submitted that yet, and that's what holds your seat to come to Manchester. Then we'll talk about your payment plans and what you think you want to do in terms of paying off your balance, that sort of thing. But
good. And then let's say we've done that, we've got our deposit in. When is that bill going to be due? When do we have to have this paid by?
Oh, I'll answer that. Balancers are due August 5th. So the process typically is when you come in June for your orientation date, you would receive your initial billing statement at the end of the week that you attend. You would then receive a kind of a reminder bill in July, and then the remaining bills would go out to what we call the Student Account Center, but that would prepare you for the August 5th due date for those bills.
Thanks. And that is the fall due date. So if a student's watching this and you're going to be starting in the spring, that date will be different. When is the spring date? So if someone was starting, well, it's actually a couple different ones. Let's say someone was going to start in January, or if someone was going to start in the spring term.
I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So the August 5th is for your fall bill. We do bill for each semester separately. So you would have an August 5th for your fall bill and a January 15th for a spring bill. If you're enrolled for the entire academic year, there is no charge for the January term courses other than if you travel. If you start in January, your balance is due prior to the beginning of classes. And Will, you're going to put me on the spot. I'm not sure when that is.
They start January 4th.
Yep, so yep. The balance would be due January 3rd if they were a first-time student enrolling and starting in January.
Thanks. Sorry to throw you a curveball there, Sherry.
We'll get there later.
Yeah.
So what are the payment options to get our bills paid?
So there's I would love to say a variety, but there's multiple ways that students can cover balances. I think one of the clear front runners is cash payment. So if you have that money saved up in savings, you have a 529 plan, whatever means for saving that money, obviously you can just make a check and send it to Manchester to cover the balance, or pay it in person, whichever you'd like. There's the options we've talked about, loans a lot today. That is obviously another option for students to make payment. And those, I would talk with your admissions counselor. There's a certain time frame that you want to apply for those loans and for the disbursement to happen at the beginning of the semester. But that is an option. It can be the student loans, which you're automatically eligible for, the Direct Plus loan with a parent, or that private education loan, or those other loans that Sherry mentioned that might be separate from educational type loans. The last option would be payment plans, and those are monthly payment plans. And once you receive your award notification, that information is on there, and it breaks it down by 10-month payments. So it'll give you an estimate of what that would cost you per month. there's different payment plans that we have, and we have that information is on our Student Financial Services website. The details of it right now, it might be a little confusing, but there are payment options. And I think families, sometimes they will do a combination, so maybe they don't want to take out a large loan, but they can afford so much per month. So they might take out a loan that's a partial loan and then make payments as well. So you can do combination. There's cash payments. Families will pay up front and then maybe do the rest in payment plan. Talk with your admissions counselors. There's options. That's all I have to say is there's options. Talk with your admissions counselors and we'll help you through that.
Great, thanks. We have another question coming in. What type of jobs are there on campus? Maybe some work study. We talked about that a little bit of the difference between the two, but we didn't say some examples of what jobs are out there.
Sure. There's lots of jobs on campus. Depends on kind of what you're looking for. There's jobs in different areas of study. We have students who give our campus tours. They get paid for that. Food service, grounds crew, working in the fitness facility, various office assistants, lab assistants. When I was a student here, I was a phone-a-thon caller for a year, calling families, alumni, and asking for donations to Manchester. So there's lots of options. Brandy did mention there's one specific job that is work study required, and that would be working with the Indiana Reading Corps, but the rest are open to all of our students, and all on-campus jobs are 20-hour maximum a week because you're a student first, and then they would be minimum wage positions, but you get the money directly deposited to you to do with what you need.
Great, thanks, Kyle. Hopefully that answers your question there. So we've got our bill paid, we've got everything done. Just in general, what are our next steps now? So as we're going live here, if you're watching a recording, you may not know this, but it is March 24th right now. So what are our next steps here, and when might we want to have this all done?
I think the exciting part is that there's going to be a packet of information coming to students here in the next couple of weeks, and it's going to be about a lot of the next steps. So if you've not paid your enrollment deposit and you know Manchester is the place for you, then I would go ahead and make that payment. You can go online and pay it. There's going to be a packet coming that's going to talk about summer orientation. So that's super exciting. It's got the dates on there of when we will have summer orientation. It's also got a checklist in there of what you need to take care of. So some of the things are like taking your placement exam through Gateway, at least for math, depending on what your major is. You might have to do the languages or chemistry. Doing your housing form, which again is on Gateway, making sure you fill that out, you list your preferences. Those are like the main things that happen next. And then summer orientations, we have 5 dates in June that you will be invited to, and you'll come in with your placement exams already done, and then we will help you pick classes. You'll have an academic advisor who will sit down with you and help navigate that system. And then you're also going to learn other things about Manchester. There's a session with Student Financial Services, learning about campus life. There's a session for parents, just understanding Manchester and how we want to work with parents. There's a session also specific to your academic major, which I think is a pretty cool session because you get to learn a little more in depth about what to expect like that day when you're signing up for classes, but also what your first year at Manchester and on is going to look like. I think that's pretty much it for the next steps.
Great, thanks. Well, we'll kind of hold on for a second here to see if we get any last-minute questions. While we're holding for that, if each one you want to give one little bit of advice or any closing remarks, feel free to do that now.
I think we've said it enough, but hopefully it sinks in that talk to your admissions counselor. We are the best portal for information all about Manchester for you, and we can't help you unless you communicate with us. You know, if you have questions, if you have concerns, that's what we're here for. We're here to counsel you and figure out the best plan to get you here to Manchester because we want you here. We really do.
I would echo that, but I'd also say beyond your admissions counselor, get to know the staff as you're looking to come to Manchester. You know, get to know the people in Student Financial Services, the people in the registrar's office. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for you to meet those individuals, but just become familiar with them because they're going to be great resources for you as you go through your time at Manchester. And if you're struggling and you need help, Our admissions counselors will be available to you, but there's also so many other great resources on campus, and we want to make sure that you're connected with them. Do you have any advice?
I have no additional advice. That was great advice from both of them.
Well, good. We don't have any last questions here, so I just want to thank everyone for joining us. Again, you can find more information on our website at manchester.edu. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us anytime. We're happy to help you any way we can. Thanks for joining us for our Financial Aid Chat.